Oh. I see why parts of Game of Thrones was filmed in Malta. Beautiful islands, beautiful, beautiful, unbelievably beautiful. Very important, sunscreen. I have it in lotion form, in spray form, every single form of sunscreen that you can think of, I have it. I'm not taking any chances with my skin in the sun. Don't go chasing waterfalls. Listen to the river from the lakes of Jerusalem. I know that you can, but I think Hey guys, I'm coming to you live from Malta. As you can see, I'm on the very beautiful beach. I hope the volume is okay. I hope you can hear me. And I'm trying to get as much sunscreen and oil spray to protect my skin from the sun as much as I can. This is a bottle of Malibu, and that's because I do take skincare very seriously, especially because I moved to a country with a completely different weather, and that's Austria. Coming from Kenya, I'm originally from Kenya, but I live in Austria, and I'm currently vacationing in Malta. Speaking of Austria and Malta, on this video I would like to just compare the two countries, talk about the pros and cons as compared to one another, what I find to be better in Austria and what I find to be better in Malta. Point number one, when I arrived in Malta, I immediately felt at home. And by home, I mean Kenya. I felt like I was in Kenya because the people really embrace you. They're very friendly, just like Kenyans. They're very warm. So as far as that is concerned, they are I would say, friendlier and easier to talk to compared to the Austrians. The Austrians are, in a sense, the better Europeans as far as friendliness is concerned. They're not like stuck up like Germans, I'm sorry to say, or like Belgian people, or like, really cold European style, the cliche. The Austrians do small talk. They are, on a friendly scale, they are doing better than most Europeans, because Austria is a small country. A lot of it is conservative and like nice, beautiful, charming villages. So people are still willing to small talk, right? It's not Londoners. It's not people in Paris or, like I said, Germans, very seriously and, serious and like going straight to the point, no time for small talk. Austrians are not like that. But of course, Malta, this Mediterranean island, has completely different people, extremely friendly. You'd think you're in an African country. Like, they are willing to go into details real quick, and they're very expressive, and they talk with their hands like Italians, and they have a lot of phrases, like I already had them saying and Kenyans will say so I could already relate with that. And so that's my first point. Now, a plus for Austria: Austrians drive a lot more careful. I hope you can hear me, because there's a lot of noise around me. It's nice weather, so people are outside. Austrians drive more carefully and more organized than the Maltese people. I mean, what? These people drive crazy. Today is my third day here, and I nearly died 4 times. I'm not even playing. I wish it was a joke. From the airport, the taxi guy almost crashed about twice, because he just drove like he's the only guy on the road. I was like, should I say something? And then I didn't say anything, because I don't know, I was a wuss about it. I just like, it reminded me of the roads in Kenya. And then crossing from, I went out for dinner and I had to cross a small street, and some guy almost hit me, and the way he just stepped on the brakes was very dramatic. It scared me even more. And then no big deal, nobody looked, so they're used to it. Like, nobody saw. If that happened in Austria, everybody would be like, oh my god, was magst du? Oh my god, everybody would be like really surprised. But it was business as usual. Even the driver did not like wave me out of the way or like yell at me. Nothing. There was nothing. He just continued driving. So that's the way they drive. So as far as that is concerned, I would say that I prefer the drivers in Austria. Alright, so number 3, I have to think about it because I don't have any script. I'm just talking raw from what I've observed so far. Oh yeah, you know how in Kenya we normally say that people down coast in Mombasa, watu wa Mombasani, they are in no hurry to do anything. You know how we say that we actually say they're lazy. Let's be honest here. We're always like, oh god, they drag their feet. People from, the coastline. The Indian Ocean is our coastline in Kenya. The Maltese people remind me a whole lot of Mombasa people, coastarians, like we call them in Kenya, coastarians. They are not in a hurry. So they will tell you they're going to bring you something, and they will bring it. They were like supposed to bring it in like 3 minutes or whatever. They will bring it in like 15 minutes and just no biggie, smile, nobody's surprised. I'm like, what am I in Mombasa? They can be, there was a dog that was passing, so it distracted me. They can be very relaxed and slow in everything that they do. Maybe it's a thing of people who live on an island by the beach, like no one's in a hurry, hakuna matata mentality. You know how Mombasa people are. Uko, mi usinyarakishe, waenda kuzima moto wewe, kuna moto, uko. It's the same attitude. Like, you can feel it that they're not rushing to go anywhere. And I mean that with respect and honesty. I'm sure they're very hardworking people here, but I'm just like they're very hardworking people in Mombasa. But to a person who comes from a big city, Nairobi, I find Mombasa people to be just lazy. And if I compare the Maltese people to Austrians, it's like Austrians are a little bit faster. Like, yeah, so that's something I noted from the first day. And then it's a beautiful country with great food. So as far as beauty is concerned, they are a different type of pretty. It's obviously an island, so there's a beach, so it's pretty in that sense. But Austria is also one of the most beautiful nations in the world. So I would say that right there is a tie. They are both very beautiful nations, because you know how Austria has lakes and rivers. I think I'll have a champagne.
You can order by the colleague.
All right, thank you. Oh, that looks nice. You know how Austria has lakes and rivers, and Malta has a very beautiful beach, beautiful scenery. So obviously they are beautiful in different ways. It's like when you see a beautiful blonde girl and a beautiful brunette girl. They are both beautiful, just in, a brunette girl with freckles and a blonde girl who looks like Margot Robbie. It's like they're both pretty, but in a different way, right? I didn't know that there are no forests here, so that came as a surprise, just a little by the way. And I actually read up on it. It's because the island is densely populated. It's a small country, and so if there was to be a fire, it would burn down the whole country basically. So there are no forests encouraged here, which is quite surprising and unique by itself. Now when it comes to food, I prefer the food in Malta. It's tastier than the food in Austria. That's, a lot of people will tell you that's a given. But you also have to understand the regulations in Austria. They really try to feed their people less sugar, and they don't make their food very spicy. Like, Austrians eat very healthy, and it's something that is encouraged from their schools all the way up. When it comes to cleanliness, both countries are pretty clean. Some might argue Austria is cleaner because I'm in the tourist area. I'm obviously in more, an area that is more maintained. I haven't really gone to the local areas, so I don't know. But in my opinion, they are both very clean countries. Again, I have to think, because I'm not reading from anywhere, I have to think of any other thing that I can compare between the two countries. How do I put this point across? So before I even say that, let's just say the most obvious thing. The weather is better in Malta, so Malta takes the weather crown. It's pretty much sunny all year round, and as you can see, right now it's still the morning time, but it's already very beautiful. Compared to other European countries, Austria doesn't have extremely bad weather. There's some European countries where it rains 200 days out of 365, UK and such nations. Like, Austria is okay when it comes to weather, but of course Malta is much better. Just like I said, Austrians are not your typical snobbish European nose high up in the air, with the exception of Vienna, because Viennese people can be very, very snobbish, but they have money. And Salzburg people, I hear, although I haven't interacted with a lot of people from Salzburg, even though I live nearer to Salzburg than I do to Vienna, I've interacted more with people from Vienna. That's the way you say Vienna in German, Wien. So the Austria generally has more friendlier people compared to the rest of typical snobbish cold European countries. Malta beats it, however, when it comes to the friendliness and of course the weather. And so I wanted to say I would consider moving here because of the weather. And something else that is a plus for Malta is that I don't have language barriers, since their national language actually happens to be, apart from the Maltese language, it happens to be English, seeing that they are also a former British colony just like Kenya. They got their independence in 1964. We got our independence 1 year earlier in 1963. So I would move here because there's no language barrier. In Austria, I had to learn a completely different language, the German language, which I have no background in, and I was learning it as an adult, since I moved there in my late 20s. So it's like yeah, that's a plus. I would consider moving here for the language, the food, the people, the culture, the tradition, how friendly they are, and of course the beautiful weather, which reminds me of home. Like their weather competes with countries that have tropical weather. So there's that. However, would I really move here considering the structures? I think as far as the structures is concerned, here Austria takes the crown because like I said, it's slow. There's the island mentality. And let me give you just a practical example. Wait, I have to sit up straight. My leg is asleep. Oh, so much better. Let me give you a practical example. So I booked an appointment yesterday for a back massage. I had already a full body massage day before yesterday at the resort where I'm staying. But then yesterday I booked a different appointment, just a lady who apparently is the best in this area when it comes to back massages. And I have to admit, she really did a good job. I feel so much better. My back feels so much better. She told me to go at 4. I was there 10 minutes before 4 because that's what we do in Austria. Like you're always a little bit earlier for your appointment. And so I just sat there, I said hi, they said hi, and then they continued typing. And I was like, so like in Austria that would never happen because everybody would look up and be like, Grüß Gott, bitte sehr. Können wir helfen? Like they will immediately jump up to attention, but then this guys just continued typing. Then I said, oh hi, so my name is Elizabeth and I have a back massage appointment. There's a special word for it. So I told them it's a special kind of massage, and they were like, okay. And I'm like, so is the lady in? Oh, she's out for lunch. She'll be here in no time. So I thought, okay, maybe her lunch started like at 3:30 and by 4 she'll be there. 4 exactly at 4. I approached the reception desk again. I was like, oh, so it's 4? Where should I go? Like, is she here? No, she's out for lunch. And then they just continued talking in a strange language. I guess it's the Maltese language. It's actually a very interesting language, speaking of which. It sounds very beautiful. It's like a mixture of Arab, Italian, French. Like, it's just a mixture of everything. And I was like, so what time is she coming back? She's out for lunch. Probably in 20 minutes. Dude, my appointment was at 4. What do you mean in 20 minutes? 4:20? When I was living in Kenya, I was so used to that kind of like way of doing things that I wouldn't freak out. But living in Austria the last couple of years, it's like, she has to be here. I felt like I was freaking out, you know? And they were looking at me like, are you okay? Just chill. You know, like they were looking at me like pointing at the snack bar where I can just go and like drink something. And I'm like, you know, and it's a common thing. I was just laughing about it with a girl I met yesterday. Poa sana, nimefurahi kukumit. Unaitwa Silva. Asante sana. I had a great time here, and thank you so much for your service.
Thank you.
Tukiongea Kiswahili waamini wewe ni Mkenya.
Ndio lazima.
We were laughing about it because there's no strict, you know how, I don't know, you have to have lived in Austria to understand what I mean. And from what I heard is that in Malta, you can bribe your way through things. In Austria, you can forget about that. I mean, corruption is everywhere. Let's not even be fake here. Even the best country in the world will have corruption. The only difference is that in Austria, it's dealt with really quick. Justice is never delayed there. Like, it's dealt with really quick and really efficiently. Consequences come really fast. While here, I guess you can bribe your way out, just like in Kenya, you know. So there's a doo-doo on my back. It's a beach doo-doo. So that's something I noticed, that I would move here, but when I think of that, it's like I think it's a good country to vacation in, not necessarily to live in, because I would go crazy if I had to like not have things run the way they're supposed to, especially having tasted Austria. If you've tasted a country such as Austria where everything almost everything, let me say almost everything, works at the exact minute of the exact second. I think this place would drive you crazy. For instance, I noticed that people don't necessarily stop at the traffic lights where you're supposed to cross. Like if there's no car on the road, people will just cross. In Austria, there's no car on the road, but it's not yet green. We stand there and wait, and I'm used to that now. Yesterday, I looked crazy standing there waiting when everybody else was just crossing because there's no car. It reminded me again of Kenya. So those are some of the differences. Both countries have pros and cons, but all in all, I love it here. I absolutely love it, especially because it reminds me so much of home. And by home, I mean Kenya. I love how the people are, how friendly they are. I love the food, like I mentioned, the weather. It's so beautiful. So I am enjoying my vacay. This is the Boulevard Road. I am walking towards my hotel room, and the views are amazing. As you can see, it's the beach line. So on one side it's the beach resorts, mine is down that way, and I just saw a bench where I can briefly sit and maybe emphasize on that point I was trying to make. I hope the cars are not too loud. About people dragging their feet here, the Hakuna Matata mentality of Mombasa people or Coastarians. No one's in a hurry to do anything. So here's another example, for instance, what I mean in terms of structure and getting used to a certain way of doing things in Austria. So I went somewhere and I handed the lady a 20 euro bill note, and she was supposed to give me back 10 euros, but she didn't have any change. So she told me to just go into the facility, enjoy my day, and by the time I come out, she'll have change, she'll give me back the 10 euros. When I came back, she was looking at me like I am an alien from Jupiter, and she doesn't understand any word I am saying, even though there's no language barrier, we are both speaking English. And then she went like, actually I forgot, but don't worry, have a seat. So I sat there for almost 5 minutes, and I'm like, what am I waiting for change? It's either you have change or you don't. I didn't tell her that, but I sort of like told her, hey, I have to go back to my resort now. And she was like, so can you come back tomorrow? I'm like, dude, you want me to come back tomorrow to get my 10 euro? So I was like, you know what, I'm on holiday. It's not like I'm going to work in the morning. It's fine, I'll go back the next day. See, I told you they drive like crazy. Just now, that car down there nearly crashed the other car. Just now, it happened just now, literally, in real time. They drive like crazy. And look, they're not even fighting one another. They're so used to it. They're so used to it. They didn't even argue, no road rage, nothing. The way they drive is out of this world. Worse than in Kenya. Well, no, not worse than in Kenya, same. Because Kenya is also a film. It's a whole movie when it comes to our roads. People just act like they're the only person on the road, and they're the only person who's in a hurry. So anyways, back to this lady. She said, can you come back tomorrow? And okay, so for me that's really funny, hella funny. Never, that would never happen in Austria, but okay, I'm on holiday, I don't have to report anywhere in the morning. I went back the next day and I was like, so Claire asked me to come back for my 10 euros. And they were like, Claire? And I'm like, yes, Claire, she was here last night and I gave her a 20 euro bill. She asked me to come back for 10 euro. Claire is intern. The girl who I met was now someone who was obviously a foreigner. Her English was now not so good as Claire's English. Again, English is their national language, so they speak it very fluently. But the one I met this time had like an Italian accent or something. She's like, Claire is intern. Claire not here every day. And I'm like, okay, so how am I supposed to know this? It's such a Mombasa attitude, that whole Hakuna Matata, Hakuna Haraka, we are not going anywhere. I was like, yeah, okay, fine, she's an intern, she's not here every day, but how do I get my 10 euros? And then they were like, go to reception and tell the lady. So I went to the reception and I'm like, because this was a different reception. I went there and I'm like, I was supposed to take 10 euros from Claire, the intern. I'm like, I don't know. Yes, that's Claire. I don't know if she's an intern or not. The lady just opens the cash desk and gives me 10 euros. It's like, dude, if I had told her I need 50 euros, she would just give it to me. That's the way they are. Like, things like that never happen in Austria. So just to give you, an emphasis of what I mean by structure and things done a little bit unprofessional, sorry to say. Yeah, so there's that. Now, the other thing I wanted to say, wait, I have to remember, it's hot and I'm forgetting stuff now because of the heat. What did I want to tell you? In Malta, people are more direct than they are in Austria. One of the things I dislike about Austria is the passive aggressiveness. Like, people won't say what they really want to say because they're like raised to have good manners, to like always present themselves a certain type of way, even if they're pretending, which is something I don't appreciate. And you know who else does that? Funny enough, Tanzanians. Tanzanians can also be very passive aggressive and not really say what they want to say. Like, they will indirectly say it. But one thing I noticed about the Maltese people, they remind me of Kenyans in that sense. They are direct. For instance, yesterday I got stuck on a rock. Like, who even gets stuck on a rock? I don't know how I ended up on that specific rock. It was a big rock on the beach, and I had come from up. I had come, down a slopey path, and then I was on the rock, and I could not go back up because it was a little too high. And the beaches here have rocks, like you can see, and they can be very slimy because of algae, and if you're not careful, you will fall and die. Like, you will literally just fall and die. So I was very scared to like jump from one rock to the other because there was water on one side and water on the other side, me on the rock, and then the beach, the whole ocean, and then the slippery path. So I needed somebody to carry me from that rock to the next rock, which would then I could just jump to the pavement. So again, in Austria, if somebody does not want to help you, they will pretend they did not hear you. So if you go like, Entschuldigung, kannst du bitte mich helfen? Like, they will pretend they did not hear you. They can be very passive, aggressive. Even in, like, if an Austrian wants to insult you, they do it in a way, I don't like it. It's like, dude, just have some balls, have some guts, say what you want to say. So the Maltese people, I noticed, are very direct. So they were like, so one guy did not want to help me. He didn't ignore me because he doesn't know me. There's a strange girl there who's almost naked. I was in a bikini and I'm stuck on a rock, so he doesn't know what's up with this lady, and it was late evening, so he was just like, no. He just said no, and he continued. That is so Kenyan. An Austrian will pretend they don't hear you talking to them, and they will pretend they're listening to music. Like, they are not direct people, and I just started laughing on that rock, even though I was scared for my life. What if the tide becomes, more or heavier? But he just went like, he looked at me once, said no, and he kept it moving. I love it. I love it when someone is just direct. They say what they mean and they mean what they say, and they do it to your face, rather than the Austrian way of like gossiping behind your back, or like just doing little passive aggressive things that I don't appreciate in Austria. So in that case, Malta takes the crown. And even the guy who carried me, he literally carried me from that rock to the pavement, and I was so afraid that maybe he slides and now we both slide into the water, like we both fall. Even him, he just called me out to my face. He was like, so how did you get there? Why would you not be able to go back up, up the sloppy path that you came down on? While you were coming down, did you not notice that you are going to be in a dead end and the sea is right there? Like, he just called me out to my face. He didn't do that passive aggressive things of Austrians, like maybe if you kind of sort of use your brain a little more. Like, Austrians can insult you in just say what you want to say. Like, this guy said it straight to my face. That's dumb. How did you get, like, I love it. It's the Kenyan way. Wewe ni mjinga. Ulitokaje kutoka? It's very direct. There's no confusion in what someone is trying to tell you.